Everyone, welcome back to this edition of our podcast. My name is Rocco. I'm here with
Olivier Brunel.
Mathis Courcelle.
And Victor.
Perfect. I was thinking the other day, I was doing assignments and I had a really hard time concentrating. And I talked to my mom and she said that, maybe I'm ADHD, and I was thinking ADHD, it's such a weird phenomenon, and I just thought that we should talk about it more and
And it's a great point because, at my house as well, I'm living with two ADHD at all times. So I'm living with my father and my brother. They're both ADHD. It's crazy. And sometimes it's a little disturbing because it's maybe a little unsettling as well because they have a tough time organizing and the house is sometimes a mess. So it's really hard to, do your stuff and do your daily chores when you have two people who are disorganized and have trouble with their attention span.
Say personally, I share a point with Oliver is personally I don't have ADHD, but my younger brother does, and he went undiagnosed for about most of his life. He's currently 15. He was diagnosed at the age of 13. He's always been kind of the rebel child, didn't like school, not good in assignments, but he always had that drive, but he just couldn't work it out with school. And a bit later on, he got diagnosed, but now, not medicated, it's pretty much been the same thing. So we're wondering, do we need to push him further?
What symptoms did you notice with your brother?
At first, it was always a lack of drive to do schoolwork based on the fact that he just either didn't enjoy it or he wouldn't listen in class. Personally, I didn't really handle it, but when it came to my mother, she would often talk to his teachers, hey, what's going on? What's going on with my son? It would always be, he's not paying attention, he's on his phone, he's talking around. It's the lack of the skill of being able to focus on something for an extended period of time, which he does not enjoy, is non-existent.
Yeah, I can second that because I'm not going to talk about me. I'm going to talk about myself later on. But I can say my dad, he's ADHD. He can't concentrate for more than 30 seconds on something. Sometimes we ask him to go do something and he'll go do it. For example, go in the garage and get something for dinner, and 15 minutes will go by and we'll ask him hey, what are you doing? And he'll just be concerned with something that he saw in the garage that he needs to fix, and he'll just be completely distracted with that. So I think that's often
that reminds me of my stepdad, actually. He was for a long time unmedicated, or he would self-medicate, which often caused him to have unrelated issues with that. But he was really a blue-collar man. He was extremely skilled with his hands, but when it came to schoolwork or anything academic, he couldn't work it out.
Yeah.
But as Rocco mentioned, he would sometimes go do one thing, and out of nowhere, you'd find him 2 hours later doing some side quest, and you could be in the garage working on his truck, but originally he was supposed to be on the barbecue, and the food was burnt now.
Yeah, and that always happens.
Exactly.
It could happen every day for my dad. Sometimes it even happens with me. I go to do an assignment, and then I start thinking, wait, did I do this for another class? And then I'll just start focusing on this, but I can't really focus.
My girlfriend even. Say she's currently in college, but sometimes I'll be with her and she'll be like, I have to work on an assignment. She'll answer me an hour later and be like, yeah, sorry, I was raking leaves or building a shed or something.
But I think it's kind of interesting, right? The way you guys have we all have family members who kind of have ADHD, and it's a symptom that everybody has. But there's threee main of the symptoms of this disease, right? So there's inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. And I think all of these stories, they all have some of these symptoms in it, right? And so it's kind of important to acknowledge that they all exist, right? And they're the main three. So, and when compared to the other child, right, or the other children or other people in our lives, they often display higher activity level, in the lower ability to sustain, let's say, attention, and they are really impulsive in their decisions. So that's kind of something that sums up most of the ADHD people.
I want to push on the fact that impulsivity is one of the symptoms, because I've witnessed in my life, as it be in school, as it be in my own family, as it be my friends, so on and so forth, at work, I've noticed that often people with ADHD, since they lack that impulse control, will often lead them into addiction because they're either trying to cope with what's going on, or they just are given the option and just give into it because to them it's they got to do it. They got to do it. And often they fall in a cycle with that.
And is it medication linked to their ADHD, or just any type of drugs?
Any type of drugs.
Okay.
A lot of them that have the addiction problem don't take their medication for XYZ reason. as it be they just don't like it, they don't want to do it, or some of them are not prescribed anything. So on top of their impulsivity, they're looking for a cure of what they have, and they often end up in some other things.
Yeah, true. And
Other than like medication, how do they like deal with the ADHD?
Honestly, in our society as a whole, I've never really witnessed any other options than medication. Say,
Yeah.
in some cases,
I think like you have to go get a diagnosis and then get medication, but otherwise there's not
Like-
really enough talk
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Because you're right, because when you go in school, right, you can have an API, but to have an API, you need to have a diagnostic, right? So it's kind of like we have things
Yeah.
in place to help people with ADHD, but you really need that diagnostic to be like,
Yeah.
to be helped and to have like to help
Exactly.
within society.
and even then, like the cycle itself, people just will stick to medication, even though therapy can be an option. Like in the setting of a school, a student can be given tools to do it, such as some people will have different ways of studying, they might have a partner, they might find a way to make it into a game. But yet again, people will just jump straight to medication, even in children as young as 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah, I can, and I also wanted to point out that it's also sort of unfortunate because getting a diagnosis, like myself, I think I need a diagnosis, and it's so hard to like actually schedule an appointment.
And it's
to
really expensive also.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and
also
is it with a
very
family doctor?
expensive.
Who is it with? The
It's not a family doctor.
It's La Senup. It's an organization with the healthcare and all.
all right.
I think
And
it costs like $3,000 too, so like it's not accessible to everyone.
I was tested when I was younger, and my brother got tested recently. It was about $1,000.
Yeah, I know.
Because I know like one of the main criteria for ADHD is all the signs have to be present before the age
Yeah.
of 12, right?
Yeah.
So you got to do it young, right? And it's kind of investment for many parents, right? $3,000 we're talking about is a lot of money, and so
It's better to do young though because like as you know school goes on, for me personally I think I'm ADHD, and you know as CJEP and high school rolled around, I was not like able to like fully like concentrate in class. If there's many instances where I'm like on my phone or just fidgeting around or like balancing myself on my chair, which I'll get to later about the phone, but there's like it catches up to you because sometimes a lot of people who have ADHD, they're very smart, but like as it goes on, they're not like used to like actually putting in the work. So when a bigger like charge of work comes around, like their brain just like overloads and like they can't do anything.
This relates back to my brother and my stepdad both. My brother was diagnosed, as stated, early in high school. My stepdad was diagnosed in his 30s.
Yeah.
Both of them lacked the concentration for school, which led them to over time, even though they got diagnosed, they couldn't work it out because it was already too late for them, and people wouldn't back them up.
Yeah.
And I think an important part of ADHD is helping people with ADHD, right?
Exactly.
Because there's other ways than just like not like the medical, right? You can have like family members who help within the chores. Let's say like for me, for example, chores were really hard for my brother and my father. Like a dishwasher will have like the dishwasher full and like a stack of plates in the in the sink. So it's kind of like a funny, but like their brain won't recognize that we need to do that before, or we need to empty out the dishwasher before putting all the, like it's crazy.
It will seem like a huge obstacle to them, which just leads them to be paralyzed in their what would be the term, their way of doing what they need to do.
Yeah.
And once again, I've witnessed it with everybody. If one piece of work seems too big, even though it could only take 5 minutes, they'll get paralyzed and just won't do it, and it just gets worse and gets
Oh, it
worse. and
happens
gets
to me
worse.
all the time. Like sometimes I have assignments to do, and then like I start doing one, but then I start thinking about all the other ones, and I just like freeze and don't do anything, and it just gets worse.
Yeah, so like I think support outside of like also I think communication as well and support they're gonna help people with ADHD like able to organize themselves
Yeah.
agendas. I think are a great way. For example, we have like a whiteboard in our house and we have like all the chores we need to do. It's maybe just like a boy thing because we're all boys, but no. Maybe it's because we're all disorganized. But it's like a chore thing, right? Take out the garbage every Wednesday, the compost, right?
In my personal experience, the chore chart never worked because my brother was always the one that was there, but he also never wants to do them. So the chore chart wouldn't get respected, or it would get respected and it would end up getting worse. So we never do it.
Yeah, but it's kind of it's funny, but for us it really works. I think everybody's disciplined to that chart, and we all have like it's kind of like a funny thing, but we all have like an agenda at night, right? So my brother will have like a course to help him studies, so he'll be with a tutor for around like 45 minutes, and it's gonna really help him with his studies, right? Because he has a lot of trouble with studying because he's always fidgeting, right? He's always playing with stuff. He's always like playing with mini sticks, tech decks. I don't know if you have you know what it is, tech decks, like
Yeah, the small
skateboards.
skateboards.
Yeah,
Forgot
he's
about
playing with
those.
them all the time, and it's like we're at supper, and he's like, and it makes a bunch of noise. It's like really, it's kind of funny, but eventually it gets annoying. But he'll try and do homework with all that. So what he does is we have somebody come to the house, and they do homework with him. So he doesn't have like, it's a stranger, maybe not a stranger, but it's somebody else who comes, and it's like an outside authority, and maybe motivates him a little more. So he gets his homework done a little quicker, and he doesn't like lose his control over the situation. Because before he used to do a lot of like, how do you call it? He used to cry a lot about homework because for him it was a really, really stressful thing, and he couldn't really like explain how he wanted to do this homework and how he wanted to do all this job done. And as you said, sometimes you just like freeze up and you're like, oh, and then you see all the things accumulate and you're like, oh, it's way too much, and then you like explode, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah, so, like, but they also can do like behavioral therapy or like lifestyle management. So like exercise, like healthy sleep routines can like help them manage their ADHD.
that's true.
Yeah, exercise I think is a great one. Yeah.
But I think also I was talking about the phones. I think phones are like they're part of our lives like for forever. And I read somewhere that phones actually affect ADHD and make the symptoms like worse.
Yeah,
they
'cause,
reduce your attention span, your hyperactivity gets like skyrocketed. Like
Because it kicks in the dopamine, so
Yeah, exactly.
on top of they're already lacking dopamine,
Yeah.
now it uses more of it, so they have less of them.
Yeah, and like I also wanted to talk about hyperactivity. I noticed for me, like when I sit down at the table, I can't like stay sat. Like I always have to either like balance my chair, or like every dinner I get up at least 3 times to just like go walk around. And I think that's often people with ADHD, they can't stay seated, or like they really need to like move or fidget their hands.
Yeah, I think it's something that also happens a lot with boys, right? Like from what I've seen is I don't see a lot of girls. I don't know, it's like a sex thing or something, but I think I've seen more boys than girls be hyperactive.
I've witnessed both, and most of the time the girls, first of all, they're less diagnosed because they're
Yeah.
less represented in everything else. But every time I've seen a girl with ADHD or anything, it's always been more of they talk a lot, they talk
Yeah,
fast.
yeah.
They're more on the psychological effects of they talk fast, they think fast, but then their thoughts are scrambled and so on and so forth. But the guys will often more have the
Physical,
fidgety
like,
and like
yeah.
be always.
But talking too much also counts as hyperactivity.
Exactly. So
Right.
like
And cutting people off as well, right? So I just cut you guys off. I'm not ADHD, guys. But that's just a symptom as well, right? So it's kind of like...
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But because I noticed like my ex-girlfriend, she had ADHD, and she would like whenever we'd be together, she would talk like nonstop.
same thing with my
Wouldn't
girlfriend.
stop.
She can talk my head off.
Yeah, and so right here I'm reading here, but it says around 3.5% of the world's population is affected by ADHD, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a lot of people when you consider
Yeah.
there's 8 billion
Yeah, it's
people.
it's currently about 8 billion.
8 billion, yeah,
Yeah,
sorry,
it's
guys.
crazy.
Yeah, so it's kind of a lot, right? And you put it in perspective, right? Not all the people, as we said, can be diagnosed because it's like a lot
it's
of people.
really expensive. It's hard to get an appointment.
And let's say, like in Canada, might be hard, but in other countries, it might be even impossible, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't have the funds, they don't have the research.
I also
they don't have,
witnessed it while doing that research that I don't have the numbers for it, but USA has a really high percentage compared to the overall world. They have it's something like 6 to 7%.
Yeah.
The US has a higher percentage.
So is there
than the
maybe
rest
a
of the world.
chance that there's like misdiagnostics?
Oh, 100%. Like some people are just diagnosed for the sake of being diagnosed, or given drugs for the sake of giving drugs,
And so maybe it's like we're way too quick on giving drugs out to the kids, right? Maybe it's like something
Actually,
we have to watch out in our society.
That is a point I wanted to get to. What are your thoughts on just giving these kids amphetamines and stuff like that, which are often known to be really hard drugs?
Yeah, I think I don't have a strong take on it. I just know that with some people it can really help. Like for me, I took some Adderall because I had a huge assignment to do, and for me it was like the first time ever in which like I was actually able to like concentrate on my work fully and be like in a flow state of mind. So I think for some people it can actually really help, but some medication it has to be like really like in tune for the person, because I've known like some people with ADHD with the wrong medication and like they started seeing like hallucinations or like they were just really depressed. So I think it should be maybe like treated better, or like the system should be reworked.
Like when my brother was attempting it, he was given Vyvanse, but it was like a light dose, and it was not even the Vyvanse, it was an off-brand Vyvanse.
Yeah.
And when he was taking it, was just headaches. He
Yeah.
couldn't think. His mind was numb. He couldn't do anything.
Yeah. So yeah, there's about like 20 perspective drugs you can take to help people.
Just some of the Vyvanse, Adderall, Ritalin.
There's Ritalin, yeah.
Uh,
There's a lot. I don't know. More
there's
than
a-
20.
there's
There's
a
more than
lot.
20. Yeah, I saw there was more than 20. But I think this is pretty much wraps it up, right?
yeah, pretty much.
We'll
we're
have
done.
like a sponsor wrap. Yeah, we'll have a sponsor get it. Really.
Silver Production.
Yeah, civil production. All right. Well, thank you so
Thank you
much.
guys, everyone.
Y'all have a
We'll
great
see you next
night.
time.